Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of AetherFlows podcast. My name is Gina, and I'm your host. I wanted to give an introduction to this next conversation, this next episode. It was not an easy one, and this conversation is, I would say, about transformation, about the dark night of the soul, and also about ascension, which is, in my understanding, remembering who we really are and remembering that there is so much more to this reality, to this universe than what we think, than what we perceive initially. So, with that, there was subject matter that's sensitive for some people, religious, family dynamics, addiction. But it's a very, very important conversation because I believe that everyone deserves to be heard, not just the rainbows and Skittles part of this experience. The tough parts need to be seen and honored as well. So, with that, enjoy the conversation. I hope you guys like it. I loved it. I thought it was amazing, and we'll talk to you soon.
So you don't know anything about what happened to us?
No, I don't know anything. I wanted to find out
Oh,
here.
all right. All right. It's kind of a long story, but I'll try to not take so long with it.
Take as
But
much
let me
time as you
see.
want.
Okay. Well, the first experience the main thing that happened to me was I became homeless.
Hmm.
And I became homeless because I had a demon attached to me.
Oh, wow.
And I never really believed in any of that stuff my whole life. So I didn't think that it was real. But I noticed myself just getting out of control worse and worse through the years. Like you could check my record. I was doing bad things all the time. And
Right.
the more time went on that I didn't face that I had a demon and listen and just pray to God to help me, and I just tried to like ignore it, the worse my life became to the point where I was under a bridge shooting up anything I
Hmm.
could using puddle water. It didn't matter. Like I was bad. I gave up on life. Like I just had this thing like always peer pressuring me to do wrong inside my head, and I didn't realize it's a demon telling me what to do. And I have free will. It's not like it took away my free will, but it's like spiritual peer pressure, and the worse, the longer, the worse it got.
Hmm.
So I was when I was homeless. I mean, I have a couple other paranormal stories throughout the years, but when I was homeless, I started noticing this light following me around that looked like a star. But I thought it was a high tech drone or something because I'll be walking through the alleys, through the back streets at night and look up and this thing will be moving, following
Hmm.
me. I'll go hide around the corner from a building from it because I thought somebody was following me with a drone. It
Right.
was just an orb, but it would come around the corner glowing, and I'd be like, I didn't know what to do. I just kept running from it.
Hmm.
I mean, I would look up and give it the middle finger. I didn't realize I had a demon and this was an angel. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for like a couple of months, this thing's like stalked me. That's what it felt like. It felt like a drone stalking somebody playing, messing with me. And one night I went out to the beach because I live in Miami, and I went out to the beach like at I don't know maybe like 1 in the morning or something, and I see these lights out on the horizon, 7 lights spaced out perfectly. And it looked weird to me. I
Hmm.
was like, how are these? It looked like 7 boats on the horizon in the distance because all you could see was a light. But the way they were spaced out so perfectly and just staying still, I was like, man, that's kind of strange how it's kind of hard to do that in the water, I'm thinking.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I see the lights, all of them start going sideways, left and right, not too far, but back and forth.
Wow.
And I start thinking, there's no way a boat can do that. That has to be like a jet ski or something. And then they start going fast. And I'm like, wait, that can't be a jet ski. That has to be a drone. Also, I'm thinking that's a drone too, because I'm thinking, what kind of drone can you fly all the way out on the horizon like that?
Hmm.
And then out of nowhere, the one that was in the middle just started flying towards my face, like coming from the horizon to the beach where I was standing at the speed of a bullet. It's flying at me. And I'm like, I feel like my eyes are crossing or something. I'm like, is this thing coming right for my head? Like it's coming right to me. And I just remember I looked a little bit and I could see a comet tail coming off it. I'm like, what the hell is
Oh,
that? It's like a
okay.
firework coming at me.
Yeah.
And then I remember getting like something in my head, like it wasn't me, but it was something. And I just remember getting kind of mad and being like, I dare you to hit me, because it's coming right at me like the speed of a bullet. It gets about halfway over the ocean, and I'm like, I dare you to hit me. And I just hear this voice in my head, like telepathically, the light talk back to me. And it's like, I don't remember exact words, but it was basically like, I bet you won't stand there and let me hit you. You're too scared, like taunting me almost. And I was like, come on, like, And I put my head down and it starts coming. And I'm like, you don't know me. I don't care. I don't care if I die. You could kill me. Like in my head, I'm talking to this thing.
Mm.
And I just stand there and I'm like, right before it gets to the shore, which is like 50 feet or 50 yards away from where I'm standing, I've all that that I was feeling, it left, and I started getting scared. Like I could feel my body, like, oh no, what if this thing actually goes through me? What if that's like a rock on fire, like
Right.
a meteor or something? And as it's breaking the water, I just throw my body back, and it speed of a bullet, it flies right. I move my head back at the last second, and this orb flies right over my head and just blinks out. And I land on the sand, and I'm like, "What the hell was that?" And I get up, and I look back, and all the other lights are there, staying still. And I start feeling like, damn, I just got tried by a light. So I start telling the other ones, come at me, I won't move this time. Come at me, I won't move this time. And then like they're not reacting to me. I'm just standing out there screaming at the water.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell was that? You know what I'm saying? I never understood what that was. But that happened. And then right after that, I end up going to jail and I get clean from being in jail because all the drugs I was on, detox and
Mm.
everything.
Right.
And when I get out of jail, like I still didn't go to a home or anything. I still was like, I don't know what to do because I've been on the street for a couple of years already, like 6 years at that point. I didn't
Mm.
talk to my family in a long time or anything. So I didn't go home. I just stayed out on the street, like not wanting to do drugs, but just like not really knowing what to do.
Oh, I totally
And
know.
then a couple nights later, I had a chain of events happen that were insane that led me back out to the beach. And I tell the whole story on the Bledsoe podcast if you want to go watch it after, but it's really long.
Oh yeah,
So I
no
just try
problem.
to keep the. But so I end up walking out to the beach, and I had this feeling like this was the night I was gonna die. Like the way everything happened, I just had this feeling like my life is about to be over.
Mm.
I go more into detail into it. It's kind of dark, on the podcast, but so I walk out to the beach and I'm expecting things that I did in my past were catching up with me because I did a lot of bad things in my past. And I
Right.
felt like they were catching up with me. The universe was giving me all these signs like this is what happens. And so I walk out to the beach thinking like I ruined my life and my life is about to end tonight, basically. And when I'm walking out there, I remember saying to God in my head, because I always got in a lot of troubles, even since I was a little kid, but I always had this voice in my head that would tell me, you're going to lead a life of a path of destruction. And then one day I'm going to shine my light on you and you're going to help change the world. And I always like, I didn't, when I got presented with a good or bad thing, I would do the bad things. I always in the back of my head, like one day God's going to shine his light on me. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't even know if I believed it, but I always kind of had this voice tell me that in my head when I was growing up. I told my friends that I was like, I'm going to lead a life of a path of destruction. And one day God's going to shine his light on me, not knowing what it meant. And
Mm.
as I'm walking out to the beach, I'm like 40 years old. I'm walking out to the beach thinking that I'm about to die for however the reason is. Um, I just remember going like, "You lied to me, God. You said you were going to shine your light on me. You never did." And then when I looked up, there was a UFO 15 yards away from me, 10 feet in the air. I'm on the shoreline of Miami Beach, like at midnight. And 15 yards, there's a UFO. It's only like this big. It's not huge.
Mm.
It's like the size of a manhole cover,
Right.
and it's just got all these blinking lights in the front of it. I can draw it for you. It's got all these blinking lights in the front, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, "What the heck is that?" And I just remember thinking, "Oh, that's the drone that's been following me around." And I'm still thinking this is a government technology or some kind of high sophisticated technology because I could see a little machine with the lights blinking, even though the lights didn't make sense because they weren't like LED lights. They were like little balls of fire inside the thing, just going crazy, all different colors, and it looked like something out of like a '70s sci-fi, like the computers going crazy.
Yes.
I was like, "What is
Yeah.
this?" And it just started talking to me telepathically, and it started telling me to like show it my memories of when I was bad back 20 years ago. A night that we had a party and my friend like put a pill in a girl's drink. I didn't know
Mm.
what he was doing to her, but like apparently, like supposedly he touched her when she was passed out in the room, but I didn't know. And this machine starts telling me like, show me what you know from that night because you could have stopped it. And I'm like, I had no idea. And it starts pulling up my memories from 20 years ago, like if I have no control and I feel I can see the memories in my head playing for it. So like there's no way to like run from it or lie to it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I just started playing the memories that I could, the best that I could remember. And it got to the end of the memory, and I was like, see, I didn't know what he was doing. And then it was like, nah, but you remember the day before when he told you what he was might do. And I was trying to block that out for years because he did kind of tell me what his plan was. It was evil, you know? But I was like, I was young. I was only 18. I didn't think like that, you know? This guy was a
Right.
36-year-old dude that I hung out with that was into devil worshiping, but I didn't even believe in that back then. So I hung out with him, you know?
Mm.
And I showed her the whole memory, and it was like, see, you did know something. You didn't know exactly, but you knew more than you were trying to tell me. And you could have said something to the girl. You could have stopped it. And I felt so terrible. I fell down on my knees, and I was like, just kill me. I'm waiting for this thing to kill me. You know, you're right. I deserve everything. And then it tells me to get up and walk to this jetty. The machine telling me in my head to get up and walk to the jetty. So I get up and I walk over to the jetty, and I sit in the rocks. There's like a chair like carved out in the rocks that I never seen. I'm like, what the heck is like sit in that chair? And I sit down in there, and then these two little like scopes pop out the side of the UFO, and they start
Yeah.
pointing right at me. Like, and they're pointing right at me, and in my head, I'm like, okay, this thing's gonna shoot me now, right? Because I'm not
Mm.
thinking UFO, I'm thinking drone,
Right.
government drone still. And I'm like, all right, this thing's gonna shoot me now. So I just kind of close my eyes and I wait for it. And instead of feeling a bullet or something hit my head, all of a sudden I feel the sun hit my back.
Mm.
And I'm like, and I open my eyes and I'm floating above my body and I'm watching myself walk down the sidewalk of the beach 6 years before, 5 years before, whenever it was, like the week that I became homeless when I jumped out of the rehab center I was in. And I said, man, forget this. I'm just going to go to the streets. And I'm walking through the beach. It takes me back to that day, but I'm above my body watching it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in hell. And I'm going to relive over the last 5 years that I just did as a punishment, you know?
Mm.
And I'm watching myself walk. And the sun is on my back. I'm in my body and I'm above my body. It's a weird feeling. And I look down, I'm looking around, and I'm seeing all the restaurants at the beach and everything. And I see I'm wearing a tank top like this day that I left the rehab in and everything. And then when I look back up, I'm in the middle of a life review, starting from like his 13th birthday when I had got into a fight at a park. I was drunk on his birthday, and some guy was like calling the police on me because we were being loud at the park and being disorderly at a public park. And this guy, we had our four wheelers and kids, and I was yelling and doing all kind of stuff I shouldn't have been doing. And this guy goes, "I'm calling the police on you." And when he did that, I ran over and I just hit him, boom, boom, and I jumped on top of him. I started punching him. And in my life, when I looked up from walking to the beach, I look up. I'm the dude that I beat up. Like I'm from his first person point of view, and I'm watching myself punch myself in the face, and I can't do anything to stop it. And I'm just seeing like, and I could feel all the kids that was around me. There was like seven kids around me. I could feel all their emotions at the same time, and I could feel how scared the guy was, and I could feel how angry I was being, and I could feel everyone at the same time. And it was like I was traumatizing them. And at the time, I think I'm like showing off, and they're thinking I'm
Mm.
cool. And really, I can feel all the fear I was causing and all the children around me. And then it just took me backwards through my life like that, like feeling what everyone around me felt all the way through traumas with my mom that I had, like nothing big, but things that as a kid, you know, when your mom slaps your hand or something is makes you cry, like
Right.
in the ways that it made me feel and everything down to when I was a little child. It took me back through every second of my life and everything that I did, all the fights, I did them to myself and all the bad jokes I told her. I saw what it was like God listening to those jokes basically and how cringy they were, you know?
Mm.
And I blinked and I was back. I mean, I went all the way down to when I was 3 years old and I blinked and I was back sitting on the rocks. and the machine was still floating in front of me, blinking its lights. And I remember thinking like, "Oh, my life just flashed before my eyes. I'm about to die. Maybe this thing's frying my brain or something, and I almost died." But then when I had to open my eyes, there was a second ship or drone or small UFO. I don't know what to call them, but
Right.
this one looked like a mini Enterprise. It had like three white circles on it and like a little base, and it was just floating maybe 20 feet to the right of the first one, and they're both perfectly. And I get up, and as I get up, they move with me. Like if I move my head up and down, they go up and down. If I go left and right, they go left and right. So I get up, and I'm trying to get closer to the other one, but it stays the same distance as I walk, and this one just stays right on me. And I can't see how it's floating in the air. It's like it's all white and it's covered in a ceramic like glass. And I'm
Mm.
like, how is this thing floating in the air? I don't get it. And I'm just walking down the beach, looking at it because it's only this big. It's not big. It's not like a big ship, you know.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to look for helicopter blades or something like that are visible, and I couldn't see nothing. And it didn't make no sense. And I'm like, what is going on? And then the next thing I know is I'm staring at it. I'm trying to figure it out. The next thing I know is this must be like a 2 or 3 in the morning by now. I don't know what time it was, but it started at midnight. But I was figuring it's like 2 or 3 in the morning, maybe 4. And I just remember the next thing I remember is that it's the sun is peeking over the horizon.
Whoa.
And I remember these 3 quick flashes before anything. And the first flash is I'm standing in a ship, like not in a ship, but I'm standing in a big black room. I think it's a ship now because of what Chris Bledsoe's story told. Like he helped me kind of figure out what was going on
Mm.
because he kind of went through this a long time before I did, you know. And
Right.
after I found his story, it helped me make sense out of it. So I really was confused for a while after this happened as to exactly
Yeah.
what had happened. But I remember standing in a big black room and I couldn't see nothing, just all black. And maybe like 40 feet off to the left a little bit, I could only see like a table with a light right in the middle of it. And the only reason I could tell it was a table is because the light was lighting up the top of it. I couldn't see no legs on the table or anything, just the top of the table. And this
Hmm.
little light just like a little tiny orb just going around in this weird circly squares, making these weird shapes. And the
Mm.
light's not stopping, it's just moving around. And I'm just kind of floating there, like if I'm in a dream or something. And I'm just like, what is that thing? And this voice behind me, I try to like look around the rest of the room and there's nothing around. And when I'm looking around, a voice from behind me tells me, just focus on the light. So, okay, I'm gonna start looking at the light, just staring at it. And then all of a sudden, I see this black orb fly by my face. And when it does that, I can kind of like I know that it's a person. It's like their spirit or something. And when it flies by, I connected with it or something, and I can remember their whole life, basically. You know,
Whoa.
like if I was maybe me in a past life, or just I don't know. But when it flew by me, I knew this whole woman's life story. Like I don't remember it now, but I just remember thinking like, oh shit, I remember this. That's a person, and I can remember the whole life story. Then another one flies by, and it's like an animal spirit, and I can remember this whole animal's life from being a tiny little tadpole to a frog. It was a frog, and I just remember its whole life path. And then I just get surrounded by orbs flying left and right, and till the whole room just lights up. And when the whole room lights up, like I can remember everybody's all these things, all these animals, plants, everything. I could remember just being them their whole lifespan, you know.
Mm.
And I just remember thinking like, "Oh my God, I'm part of everything," you know. And when I realized like, wait, I am everything, or I know everything. I can remember all this stuff. Everything starts spinning. That was the second flash of a memory, and then the third one, everything starts spinning. And the next thing I know is I'm literally like floating in the middle of a twister, you know, like in Wizard of Oz.
Hmm.
But the twister is made out of light strings, and everything
Wow.
behind is dark. But this twister is made out of strings of light, and it's as big as you can see around you. It's not like a small tornado. It's like from one side of the sky to the other, just wrapping around. And it's this huge tornado-looking thing made out of light strings, and I'm just floating in it, and I could just see the light, like the lead light strings that created it, like from the beginning. I could see them going around the circle every moment, just like a saw, like a drill, you know.
Mm.
And every time they come around, they're like braiding with other ones, and it's becoming stronger and stronger. and all the light strings are like braiding together and becoming stronger every time they go around. And I'm like, oh, these are all the, and I'm getting this knowledge as I'm seeing it, like, oh, this is everybody's path in the of the light, and everyone that works together helps each other, and it gets stronger every time. And then I remember as the thing was moving, these dark spots would appear, and when I would see the dark spots appear, like just a big black hole, in the tornado, it was just a big dark hole. And I remember being fearful and being like, "Oh, that's the dark. That's bad. We got that can't go there." Like I just remember feeling scared that that dark spot was there, and then I would watch the light strings come around and like basically drill at the sides of the black missing piece, like the black hole. And on the edges of it, I was seeing sparks come off, like literal giant sparks, and it was really like like a drill. And I was seeing these sparks flying all around, and I would watch the black holes get smaller and smaller and dissipate, and then it would just be the light strings. And like the voice was like, "See, once the light takes the dark's place, it holds its place in space and time forever." And I'm
Mm.
like, "Whoa," and I see that, I understand that, and this voice telling me that the light is coming, and I watch it take down like two more black spots, one real big one, and then once it got done with the real big one, I felt comfortable. I was like, okay, and I look down and I see my body standing on the beach, like where I was looking at the drones. I could see from the top my head, and I just remember falling into my body and landing on my feet. And right when I land on my feet, the sun is coming up already. The sun is already up. It's not like I watched it. Like I land my body and the sun is up now. It's a little bit over the horizon, and then I start feeling dizzy right when I land in my body because I come into my body spinning down. I remember just seeing everything spinning, and I go in my body. When I land, the world is spinning. Like I'm dizzy, and right there, I see the sand start coming up in a spiral, like levitating in front of me. I look down at the floor to get my balance, and I see the sand spinning in a spiral the opposite way that the world's spinning. And each time, like the world spins, the sand spins the opposite way, and the spins go a little less, and the spiral gets a little smaller until the world stops spinning and the spiral comes to a point, like right in front of my eyes. And I'm just looking at this sand floating in the air, and then it all falls down at one time, and I look and the sand lands in a spiral. And like 6 months later, I'm watching Skinwalker Ranch, and I see the chief that does they were doing like a drum beat out there by like the Skinwalker Ranch,
Hmm.
and he was doing it by a stone that had hieroglyphics on it, and there's a spiral on it, and he goes, "Oh, the spiral means a portal." And at 6 months later, I'm like, "Oh, that's what was in the sand, the spiral." I felt like I came through a hurricane. That must be the portal. I put
Right.
that together in my head later. I still didn't know what it was at first, but then so the spiral goes down to the ground, and I started thinking that I made it come up with my head because I was kind of dizzy, and I was like, I just remember the three flashes, and the second UFO, I mean, the first one that was blinking lights is still there, but the white one has disappeared. This is daytime, and the second one is still there blinking lights. So the first thing in my head was that I just got magical powers from a UFO, maybe, because I saw this hand levitate with my own eyes. It even landed in the spiral. So I started looking at the sand and trying to move my head around to get it to lift up somehow. And when I'm doing that, all of a sudden I get a zoom in of one sand grain, and it's just like these spider webs just filled with light, but there are no right angles. It's just like organic circles everywhere, and they're all crisscrossing, and it's just like little balls of light following each other, running through it, and it's showing me everything is made out of light.
Mm.
And then it zooms out, and I'm looking at the UFO, the drone, and I turn around and look behind me, and there's a man running because it's already like 6:30 or whatever when the sun comes up. And there's a guy jogging, and I turn around, he's like 20 feet behind me, and he looks at me and he kind of like waves, and a UFO is right behind me.
Mm.
So I turn back around to see if he's seeing it too, and it's gone. And I turn back around and look at him, and it's like way up in the air, like 200 feet up in the air, and it's a tiny little thing, and it's way up there. And I'm like, damn. Like I was thinking he was gonna see it too, maybe, and then it starts telling me like, then it starts talking to me, and the first thing that it tells me is that it is the true power and spirit of John the Baptist.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, it's talking to me in my head, and I'm walking up and down the beach. No, the first thing it tells me, it starts reading this. it starts reading like a prayer or just some words so fast that I can't really understand what it's saying. But as it's saying them, I can understand what it's saying, but I can't remember them because I'm trying to remember this because it starts words in my head real fast. And as it's saying it, I start feeling good and I start feeling better and I start feeling like loved. And I start looking at the world and everything starts becoming brighter and brighter. And I can start seeing light traveling through everything. And when it's saying these words, I'm like, I feel like it's God in my head. And I just remember trying to run to grab a pen and I tell the voice, like, wait, let me write this down. And it started like laughing. And it's like, no, you're going to remember it later in life, but just listen to it for right now. You don't have time to write it down. So I stopped and I kept listening to it. And when it stopped talking after like 10, 20 seconds, that's when I looked around and everything was just glowing and magical. And then it started telling me, um, you remember being here last night and thinking that you were in hell? Well, I'm showing you that you're in heaven. It's the same place. It's all a state of mind. The
Right.
same place that you thought you was in hell last night, now you're looking at it and it looks like heaven, huh? And I'm like, yeah, this looks like heaven. And then it starts telling me that it's the true power and spirit of John the Baptist and that it eternally baptized me and that I was gonna go home, help wake my son up now that I'm awake, and there was gonna be a shift coming, and to teach him the true teachings of Jesus that were purposely left out of the Bible. I'm a homeless guy hearing all this, I don't, and yeah, and then basically it said bye, and I'm like, no, don't leave, and it starts. I have to go. So, oh, it's hot, and yeah, it left, and I was just standing there like, does anyone else see this? Because now there's people out on the beach, Does anyone else understand what just happened to me? And a couple people started coming up to me and saying, like, congratulations, we saw everything that you went through last night. Welcome to the new world. And like 4 or 5 people telling me that as I walk by.
Hmm.
So I'm like, damn, everybody knows about this. I'm the last person, but because I was homeless, everyone else knows about it, but they don't want to let the bad people know about it. So I started walking around, and apparently not everybody knows about it. But so I ended up finding my way home, and yeah, that's the short version.
Yeah. So when was that? When did that happen?
What one was that?
November of 2022.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow. Not too long ago, huh?
coming up on 3
Wow.
years now.
Okay. So what happened after that? I mean, I can relate to that experience. I've definitely had moments of, you know, I've been homeless before. I was homeless. I lived in Seattle back in 2006, 2008. And in that span, I was homeless. I was deep in addiction. It was dark night of the soul for sure. It was like the
Yeah,
roughest time of my life. And there was one day where it was just like total fork in the road. If you don't stop doing what you're doing, you're going to die. So,
yeah,
yeah.
and and it was telling me like, don't worry, just believe everything. I'm gonna help you remember everything, and just keep believing because it's true. And
Right.
it's telling me to go tell my son, and in time, I'm gonna be able to prove everything to him. So I go home and I tell him the story. I go home and everyone thinks I'm crazy at first. But I tell them
Oh
like,
yeah.
no, this really happened. This really happened. And I mean, I finally go home and my mom let me back in and I've been clean since and I've been getting along with her and we had a couple little fights here and there, not perfect over the years, but very rarely, maybe like
Right.
twice. And then, a couple months later, I'm looking up all this stuff on YouTube trying to how can I prove like other stories, something else, something. And a couple months later, I find Chris Bledsoe's story, and when I hear it, I'm like, oh, this is real. And I tell him, I go, look, this guy's real. Everything he says is real. It's pretty close to what I told. I show him the podcast, and then we end up reading his book together on the audio, and it just proves it. It just helped me prove to him, which is all that's important to me. As long as he
Yeah.
understands I'm not crazy, that's all that really mattered to me because I just remember thinking like, God, how can I go home and tell my kid? How can I
Yeah.
ever face my family again before it happened? I'm thinking I can never face them, and then it gave me this way. It gave me a way.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
There's
Yeah, it
no
took
doubt
me.
in my mind.
Oh
Go
yeah,
ahead.
no doubt anymore.
Yeah.
So are you guys? So you guys are seeing these ships all the time now, and now you film them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're not really ships to me. Like, even though I saw two that looked like machines,
Hmm.
they looked like ships. So one looked like a drone and one looked like a ship. Even though I saw them, like, I don't think that, I don't know. I still, I don't know. Like, they're just light and they can look like whatever they want.
Yeah, yeah, they feel like
They can do,
plasma to me.
yeah, they can take the shape of any animal. I mean, me and him have seen, after this happened, we started seeing orbs in my backyard. After we went and met Chris Bledsoe, like,
Yeah.
we found his story. We find his story, and it's so like similar in a way different way. It's not the same, but it's pretty similar, like the way it happened to his. That I'm like, we got to go meet him.
Hmm.
I even see an interview with Chris where he says the phenomenon is going to be bringing me people to help me prove it. And I'm like, oh, that's us. We got to tell him. So we go there and like doing a book signing like 2 weeks later. We're like perfect. Right after the first time we found him, and we went and met him, saw orbs on the beach, and since then we've been seeing orbs in our backyard almost daily basis.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of what happened with me too. I started seeing them in. Went on vacation to Lake Michigan and was just hanging out outside at night watching the lake, and all of a sudden this giant orb shoots out of a tree and over the roof, and then I see this giant sparkly ship orb something above my head, and then it just kind of slowly floats across the lake, and I was like, what the fuck was that? Like,
That's
Yeah,
insane.
what was that? And I walked inside the Airbnb, and my wife was like, hey, how was the lake? And I'm like, oh, just fine. I didn't know what to say, and I didn't tell anyone about this stuff for probably a few months. But we went back home, and this was in Detroit in the middle of the city, and I would go outside and I would see I've seen triangles in the middle of the day above my house, like just floating. I've seen the big
yeah.
round kind of spinny ones that I thought they were drones at first too, because I didn't know what a drone looked like. I was like, is that it? Why is it just floating there? And in the beginning it was more physical looking ships, but then I started seeing like big orange, like flaming looking orbs, and like plasma orbs that would change color, and they were just in the middle of the day at night, and I'm just like, is anybody else seeing this at all? Am I the only one?
Yeah.
Am I bonkers? Like, what's what's going on? And then that's when I started getting like the telepathic stuff, and I kind of got guided to move up here, and now I live off of Lake Superior in Michigan, in the woods, and that's when the Sasquatch stuff started happening. So I feel like I was definitely guided to come live up here, and to also talk about this stuff, because it's really, I don't know about you, but like telling all of your friends and telling your family that you're seeing this stuff and you're getting messages in your head, like it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to tell people. And then there's a lot of self-doubt, and there's a lot of confusion, but if I mean, you had a super powerful experience, so I could see how you would just be like, this is totally real. But with somebody who's just like, oh, there's a light out there. What is that? For me, it was more gradual, and so I did go through a lot of doubt with it. And
Another thing that kind of confused me a little bit was when I was on the beach after it was daytime,
mm,
and this orb or this UFO, whatever, when it was saying bye, it was telling me that I have to do this on my own and that it's going around the world and waking people up.
mm,
And when it starts leaving and it gets to like a speck in the sky, I see this flash in the sky of three light beings. They look like, you just see like the shape of a body basically. And they were standing like in a triangle formation inside of a perfect square of light. Like a movie screen
wow.
just popped up for like 1 second, and three people are just standing there made out of light. But they're dark because the light coming from behind them is so bright that they look dark, but it's just like looking at a negative of a photo, like an old school negative,
Hmm.
like seeing a reverse image of three light beings standing there, and it just flashed in the air. They kind of looked a little awkward, and I just remember thinking like, because it told me it was John the Baptist. So I'm like in my head, I'm like, this is God, this is an angel. and then flashes the three beings, and I'm like, wait, is this aliens doing this, or is this John the Baptist? I was confused. That's how it left me there on the beach, that
Right.
flash of three beings, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god. I was like, oh man, I'm losing my head, you know. And then
Right.
I was like, look, I'll go home and I tell him the story. I'm like, look, I don't know what angle to take with this, if this was God or if this was aliens, but this is what happened. And then I remember Chris Bledsoe saying that when we heard his story, he goes, it's always, they're angels and they always roll three together. And I was like, oh, the angels always roll three. I saw them, you know?
Hmm.
So, like, he helped me not remember, but helped me make sense out of a lot of parts of my story that I probably wouldn't even have told if most of my story probably no one would ever heard if it wasn't for him, first of all, because I don't
Hmm.
know how I would even begin to make this claim, you know? But it told me that he was going to help me. It told me that in a couple of years, you're going to make telepathic friends and they're going to help you remember your story and tell it to the world. And after like a year and a half, we go to our after a year, we go to meet the Bledsoes, or a year and a half, we go to meet the Bledsoes. And I was like, oh, I got to tell you a story. I think I was directed here to tell you guys this story. And they didn't have time. We didn't really make time. We just met him, and he said he got 10,000 people a day telling him the same thing. And so we waited till the next festival 6 months later, and we went back. And I was like, "You got time?" And he's like, "Look, tomorrow we'll go to lunch after the festival, and we'll talk then." But when we're out there at the festival, the first time, and they told me they're gonna help me. Telepathic friends were gonna help me remember my story. And we're standing out there on the beach looking at orbs, and his daughter Emily Bledsoe.
Hmm.
Overhear her telling someone else a story of when one of the orbs flew right at her face and knocked her down, and she jumped out of the way of it. And when she said that, I had already told them the whole story except for the part when I was on the beach and it knocked me down, because I like that part to me was like, nah, he's not gonna understand that part, you know. And when she
Right.
said that, I was like, oh wait, I wasn't tripping that night. That did happen to me too, and it did help me not remember, but it helped me make sense out of it, you know. So it was
Right.
kind of, I mean, they told me everything that was going to happen, and everything is happening.
What do
So
you, Paul Jr., what do you think about all this?
It all just really proved to me that God is real and there's no reason to live in fear or sadness or anything negative because we're in a spiritual world led by angels and God. That's been my number one takeaway.
Yeah, that's amazing.
yeah, and we've walked out to our back porch at 5 in the morning and have seen an orb 10 feet in front of us turn on and fly away, fly
Yeah.
over the fence.
Yeah. Me
You
too.
know,
Yeah, I've
ten
seen that
feet in
too.
front of his face. You've seen him 10 feet in front of his face just turn on and fly away. Bright
Yeah.
orange orb. So
Yeah.
it's like it
And
told
you're
me it
seeing
was
it
going
with
to help me
your
prove it.
eyes,
Yeah.
not with a camera,
It
just
told
your
me
point.
it told me it was gonna help me prove my story to him, and like it showed up the same light that knocked me down showed up in our backyard and took off the other way.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen that too in my backyard. Last year, I saw a big orange one shoot across my neighbor's house and then go down, straight down behind the garage. And I was like, what the heck? What? What was that? Who was that? But yeah, now I kind of
Yeah.
feel like I just see him all the time now. Like last night, I was out in the woods talking to my buds, and I said something about, I don't know. I like to go out to the woods at night and just talk, and but they've started responding to me with the orbs. So I'll say something like, "Oh, you're more than friends, you're family now," and then this orb just forms and it gets brighter, and
Yeah.
it shot this like love frequency at me, and I just started crying. I think that's what I'm still a little weepy today. It's my heart chakra. I feel like got blasted last night with this love frequency, and it's amazing. It's amazing that we're able to communicate with these beings, and this stuff it's real. I mean,
It's biblical.
yeah, yeah,
It's
it's intense.
biblical and it's happening right now.
Yeah,
You know, and some people don't have no clue what's going on, and that blows my mind even more now. That some
right.
people don't even seem interested in the subject. Like,
Yeah,
like what? Okay, because at
yeah,
first, I mean, after we've been seeing them in our backyard and we're filming them every morning, it doesn't matter. Basically, like we're not like catching them. We're just turning our cameras on and pressing record, and it'll go in front of the camera. We're not like, you know what I'm saying?
right.
they're doing it. We're not. It's not like just random places, and we just happen to catch one. Like we're just turning it on, and can you please show up for the camera, and it'll go right in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And at first we were very excited, and we'd tell everyone we meet because we work together. We wash cars. We got a car wash company,
Hmm.
and all the customers that like want to like talk for a minute, we'll bring it up and try to show them some videos. But like most of them aren't interested, or they like don't even look at the camera when we're showing them the video. They're like looking away, or like, and it's just like, I guess it does sound crazy because I wouldn't have believed it if I wasn't experiencing it either. But still,
Yeah.
we got proof. There's proof. Chris's proof is amazing too. All the videos that he has and the story and his Skinwalker Ranch episode, like both of them, where he put the EKG on his head, they can tell he's communicating with him.
Yeah.
And when they recorded that one in the Everglades with him and his daughter out there, like, there's no other explanation. Listen to the man; he knows what he's talking about.
Right. Well, that's a big part of the reason why I started this podcast, was because I was having these experiences, and like I told you earlier, I came from I've had some very dark periods in my life where I just didn't believe in anything, nothing. There was
Yeah,
nothing. You die and that's it. Light goes
yeah,
out. And so going for like having these transformations and like coming from these like really dark places and having this belief in that there is so much more, there's so much magic out there, and seeing the world around you, and everyone is very fearful and confused and very polarized, and it's like Democrats and Republicans and everyone's fighting. And so I wanted to start the channel, I guess, to show people, that there's so much actual magic in the world, and there's so much more than what we think there is. And
yeah.
so, I mean, I've had people, troll me and say that it's nothing, I'm lying and blah, 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 but who cares? Some people just can't see it
Anyway,
yet.
yeah. Eventually, hopefully, they will, because
Yeah.
they told me there was a shift coming, and I can see, like, when we first started recording the orbs, like, we get these ones we call them storbs. Chris calls them streakers. They just fly by
Oh
real
yeah.
quick.
Yeah, I've seen those.
They're real fast, bright and short, any direction, up, down, left, right, any color they can be, but they just show up and they disappear real quick. And we started recording those all the time. And through like what has been like a year now, through the year, we've noticed maybe like a handful of people are also seeing them and recording them and posting them on YouTube. And at first, we didn't find nobody else. There was like one other guy's like, "Oh, I've seen one of those before," and we kept posting them, and we are looking around, and then we found out like 4 or 5 people that are seeing them. So
Yeah.
maybe by the end of the next year, there'll be 20 people recording them, and then maybe everyone will start seeing them, and they'll start. I don't know how it's gonna go down the shift, but I see it gradually. More people are aware of what's going on.
Yeah, me too. I feel like, I don't know, people are definitely seeing that there is a lot of inequality. And I think people are getting really to the point where they're just like, I'm done. We're done. We're done having, people at the top, people at the very bottom. Like, we need to do something, whether it's, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I feel
It's
like
like
things are really changing.
I feel like there's a chance that the shift or the light returning could be like in the form of the truth, where everyone has been trying to lie and try to get away with this and doing things. You're all gonna have to face your truth, face what you've been doing, come clean about it, or the demons are gonna take you down, because we're surrounded by demons and angels. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people think like this is what I'm pretty sure of. Like a lot of people that they call schizophrenic or put them with mental illnesses. It's not really mental illnesses. It's the spiritual warfare on their brain. They're not being able to handle it, and it's demons.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because
I
that's what
definitely
I've
feel.
experienced.
Yeah. Oh, me too. Definitely. I've
Yeah.
had I've had some spiritual attack before, and it's not fun, but once you realize what it is, and once you realize how powerful you are, and that you are creator, you are a fractal of the all that is, it's a lot easier to kind of
I mean,
to yourself,
I've had, I've had some dark nights, like where I was literally fighting my hand with my own other hand, like trying to put something down or do, you know what I'm saying? And
Wow.
I'm like, what am I going crazy? Like I'm literally fighting my left hand with my right hand, like not knowing that not knowing that I had a demon attached, that I was fighting demons. I
Right.
just thought I was losing my head, a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so how are things nowadays? Like, you've got your business and things have stabilized? You're feeling good?
Nowadays, we're best friends. We spend all day
Aw.
together every day. We talk all day long,
Yeah,
filming orbs. We
edit them.
Yeah, just trying to spread this to the world. Ryan Bledsoe, Chris's son, has a community on the Discord, and we're close with everyone in there. And our lives are magic.
Yeah.
Nothing that I'm pretty sure I could speak for both of us that we never saw coming.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's so awesome.
I
I
mean,
love that.
I, I think a lot like, man, what would I be doing right now if this orbs never came into my life? I know I wouldn't be here, and I know that they saved me for a reason. So
Yeah.
just trying to like be patient and figure out, watch it all unfold, and help as much as I can.
Right. How has forgiving yourself played a part in your life recently? Because I know I've been dealing with a lot of self forgiveness. Because when you're in those places, you do a lot of really messed up stuff, and
Oh yeah,
I it's taken me a long
This is
time to be like, all right, you were young, you were in a certain place, you're not there anymore, and it's okay.
I did a lot of bad things. I don't want to go through the checklist of all the bad things
No,
I
you don't
did,
have to.
but there was one in particular that after I did it, it was a robbery that I hurt somebody in when I was 20 or 19. Right after I finished, God was talking to me in my head, and He told me, "You better confess what you did, and you better beg me for forgiveness every day for the rest of your life." And I blocked it out.
Mm,
But now, when I wake up, I say sorry to God for the person I used to be, and I beg Him for forgiveness for like a good minute or two every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. I'll just
yeah.
stop and just be like, "Forgive me, please." Not for things I'm doing now, because I'm trying to be perfect now, but for the past, because He told me to beg Him for forgiveness every day for the rest of my life a long time ago, and that plays through my head every day when I wake up. So I wake up and I do it, and I end up feeling not dealing with the drama so much. It's
Mm,
easier to get
yeah.
on with the day after I talk to him. And
Yeah. It kind of brings you back into center, talking every day to God. Um,
yeah,
I've had meditations before where, and I don't know how this happens, but all of a sudden, uh, this one in particular, I was meditating and I was thinking about judgment and how when we judge ourselves or others, we're always judging ourselves because we are the all that is. We are creator. We are each other. Like you said, everything is made up of filaments of light. Everything is light. Everything is energy. Everything is frequency, and we're all made up of that stuff. So every time we treat somebody like crap, we're treating ourselves badly. And so I was thinking about that during the meditation, and I started seeing these pictures playing in my mind of times when I've judged others. I've looked at someone across the street and thought something, and they've looked across the street and thought something of me. And then I started seeing these images of like the Holocaust and World War I and all these like giant, huge atrocities. And then it would flip into like some very personal, like, oh, I just cursed somebody. I just said you're a jerk, or something like that. And it made me realize that it's all the same. It's all energy. So whether it's like a giant war, or whether you're just telling yourself you're an awful person, it's all the same. And that really helped me to realize that I think judgment is probably one of the most damaging things you can do to yourself and others,
yeah.
because it just it hurts your energy, it hurts your
Well,
soul.
I'm pretty sure it says somewhere in the Bible not to judge other people. Because when you start seeing orbs and you start realizing that they can be anything or do anything and control nature, and I mean, we've seen some things. We've seen a bird disappear, poof, into thin air, a giant 10-foot wingspan bird in our backyard in the
What?
daylight. We've seen a bird. We were looking for orbs, and the sun came up right before we went to work, and this giant bird flew by.
Hmm.
And he goes, "Let's look at the bird to see if it disappears." Because I told him a story when I was 15. Two birds came out of nowhere; they just appeared.
Hmm.
And when we were at the Skywatch with the Bledsoes, 4 orbs grew wings and turned into birds. and right on top of everybody's head.
Wow.
So he says, let's look at that bird and see if it disappears. And I'm looking at the bird and I'm like, what kind of bird is that? That thing looks like what's that bird that I said? Oh, a thunderbird. I go, man, that thing looks like an Indian carved out thunderbird. It was just like a piece of wood flying in the air. It
Wow.
was huge, And I was like, what is that thing? And then all of a sudden it just poof into a puff of smoke and just disappeared. And
Really?
like, yeah, and I look at him, he looks at me. I didn't want to say anything. He didn't want to say anything. And I'm like, that just happened? And he goes, yeah. And I go, what? And he's like, it just disappeared in the thin air. I was like, yeah. It just puffed into a smoke. We started laughing and like, dang.
Oh
We've
my
seen some
gosh.
miracles like that.
Wow.
I mean, and
That's
we can
so
see
cool.
birds far away. This thing was huge and it was right across the street. Like, there's no way, there's nothing else can explain what happened. It just went poof, and there was a little black cloud of smoke right behind it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that the
You've
craziest
seen
thing
a
you've
couple-
seen lately?
Lately, probably.
Yeah.
That's a crazy one.
But then even just seeing the orbs so close and seeing conscious light appear and disappear 10 feet away, that could also be in the category of one of the craziest things ever.
Yeah. I mean, when last Halloween, I sat in my back porch on one of those layout chairs, looking up at the sky, and I saw a green orb that was like the size of like a beach ball, see through. It was like see through, but it was green. Came flying maybe like 20, 30 feet above my house, just appeared and disappeared. And I was like, oh, Slimer's here. It had no face or anything, but I was like, oh, Slimer, okay.
That's
And
so
then
funny.
another one that we saw right around the time when the bird disappeared was I had been telling him, like, I keep seeing this orb, but it's made out of smoke and it has these two wings on the back of it, and it just looks like a ball with wings, and they don't flap, they just glide. I keep seeing it appear and disappear. It's made out of smoke and it got wings. That's what I keep telling him. And one day he was over and we're looking up and it appeared like maybe 50 feet above us and did like a 10, 15, 20-foot line and disappeared. And I looked at him. So I wasn't sure if he saw because it was dark and it's made out of smoke, so it's not easy to see. It's not like a bright light, And I looked at him like, well, did you see that? And he goes, what? What did you call it?
I said, oh, what, Kid Icarus?
Kid Icarus? Oh, yeah, Kid Icarus, which is like Cupid, basically, with the wings.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, you saw the wings? He's like, yes, I saw the wings. So we've seen that together. And another crazy one that I've seen on my own was probably like back in January or February, was a green orb, like up where the stars are, like way up there. Just a faint green orb starts floating by, and it's not going in a straight line. It's going like around. And then all of a sudden, like a lightsaber shoots out of it, like a green laser shoots out of the orb. And it's just like an orb with a laser coming out of it. And the laser's moving around with the orb.
What?
And all of a sudden, the laser starts spinning, boom, and it starts spinning real fast. And it makes this like a circle with a cross in it. And it's like a rim. It almost looks like a rim, spinning rim, and it's spinning around like a fan blades, like it's like a perfect cross inside. And then it just disappeared, and then the green orb just floated away and vanished.
That was it.
That was probably the weirdest thing I've seen in my backyard. From my backyard. Well, one of them, because there's other ones that are just as crazy too.
Yeah.
I've seen orbs. I've seen an orb fly across my pool 10, 20 feet, within 10, 20 feet off the ground. And it does a ribbon across the pool. And after about 20 feet, it splits into two, and then both of them ribbon. And they leave a ribbon trail of smoke in my backyard, a line across, and then two ribbon lines across. And then when the orb turns off, the whole entire trails of ribbon smoke disappear with it.
I saw an orb a couple days ago, maybe last week, at the woods again, that had a big, I called it a racing stripe. And I was talking to the woods and like getting kind of emotional. Like my heart was open, and all of a sudden my hands start tingling and my feet start tingling. And I'm like, and then my heart starts like vibrating, and I'm like, okay, something's going to happen. I don't know what, but the energy is getting weird. And then all of a sudden I saw something shoot above my head, and it was like a blue and white orb that was like as big as a recliner. Like it was huge. It was like at least 3 feet across, in diameter, shoots across right over my head into the trees. And it had this like gray racing stripe, but it looked like it was like made out of plasma or something, like it was alive. It didn't seem like, a meteor or anything like that. And then, it kind of like, it didn't dissipate, but it moved with the orb. It looked so different. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. And then my whole body just got really cold and I started shaking. And it was like, I think it raised my frequency really quickly. But man, it was hard to drive home because I was so dizzy from all that energy. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But that was probably the biggest one I've ever seen. But yeah, I don't know. Lots of weird stuff out there, huh?
Last week, my girlfriend and I went to Orlando, and it's about a 3.5, 4 hour drive from Miami. And we were about an hour into the drive, and we were just talking about spirituality. And out of nowhere, an orb under the clouds, because it was a super cloudy day, under the clouds, an orb turns on and just shoots like one of the ones that we see. And it was like bright red, orange, and huge.
Wow.
And this was on the turnpike in Miami. And I'm like, my girlfriend saw it too. And I'm like, yo, somebody else had to see this because that was one of the craziest ones we've ever seen. And
I
she was
hope
like,
so.
I know, I saw it too. That was amazing. I never
So
saw anything
weird.
about it.
Wow. Yeah, I had one shoot out in front of my car the other night when I was driving to the woods. Like, they're not even waiting for me to get out there anymore. They're like, hey, hurry up,
Yeah.
It's so great to have these interactions. I don't know. I feel like I'm blessed. I really do.
You definitely are.
Yeah.
Anyone dealing with these orbs is blessed. Anyone that can see them for what they are knows that we're blessed, and that this whole life, just the meaning of life, like you understand the meaning of life a little more once you start interacting with them.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
It all makes sense. Where it all came from a creator, and it's all design,
Yeah.
This is all God's creation. Like it didn't just come out of nowhere. Like they talk about the Big Bang theory, but like, does a Big Bang come out of nowhere? Something had to make it,
Yeah, I was watching a documentary last night with it was like Stephen Hawking or somebody was like, "Oh, there's no God. It's all mathematics. It's all just mathematics. There's nothing to it." And I was like, "Oh, what a boring world you live in, man. That's not my reality." Yeah. I mean, it is, but there's so much more. There's so much more to it. So, and I don't think we're ever going to fully understand it as humans. So, yeah. So just have fun.
Have fun. Just understand that there's a God. There's an eternal life. You're an eternal being, and your path and your karma are all real things. You know what I'm saying? You can't just go crazy and do whatever you want. You're gonna pay for it one way or another. This life or the next life doesn't matter. You can't escape your karma. So be good.
Yeah, be good and just treat each other like you'd want to be treated. I feel like it's pretty simple. Like there's some pretty simple rules to live by, but we get caught up in the materialism and the survival. We humans go through a lot. Well, thank you, Paul and Paul, for meeting up with me and having an awesome, heartfelt chat.
Oh, can I say real quick for anyone watching, they could look at his Twitter to see the videos of the orbs that we post?
Absolutely. You guys are on Instagram too.
We have X and Instagram. It's at Paul Oglesby, our name, and then 999. And we post everything on YouTube. Our account is Hello From Below.
Awesome. And I'll put all your stuff in the description too, if people want to check you out.
If you want to put a couple of the orb videos in here somewhere, just like in a little corner or something.
I would love to.
Whatever you want off his Twitter.
Okay. Yeah, I'm totally I'll get some of your videos. I like that one of it looked like a boomerang. The boomerang one was really cool.
Oh yeah, that was Jeff's?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my friend Jeff filmed that in Chicago.
Oh, I thought it was yours. Okay. Yeah, Jeff is he's gonna be on the show too, I think next month.
Oh, you know Jeff?
Yeah, he's great. I love him. He's from Chicago. Yeah. I'm from Michigan, so gotta represent Midwest.
We met Jeff, we met Chester and Drew at the last. Well, we met Chester at the first one, but we met Jeff and Drew at the last gathering of the Bledsoes, and we've been on a group chat with them. And every day, nice. One of us four gets a cool video, and we post them on there. We got a cool little group chat going.
That is cool. Maybe I'll try to get all of you guys on here sometime. We could do a group one.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Just show a bunch of weird stuff in the sky. That would be great. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll let you guys go, and I'll post this probably next week, and then I'll just send it to you on Instagram, or if you want me to email it to you, I can do that too. Either way. But
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks again. I'm so happy to meet you guys. I
Thank you.
absolutely love these conversations, and I love getting to meet people like you because we're going through the same thing at the same time. And it's really nice to have other people to just reach out to and be like, hey, have you seen this weird stuff? Like I have too. And it really helps.
Yeah, I have a cousin. He's like my cousin. I've known him since I was born. Basically, my mom's best friend's kid. His name's Matt, and he has a camp out in the Florida Everglades.
Mm.
And after I came back from the street and we started filming orbs, he saw my episode on the Bledsoe, our episode on the Bledsoe said so, and he started telling me a couple of stories that were back when he was younger, out in the Everglades, him and his friend would see like just a bright red light glowing in the bushes in the middle of
Yep.
the Everglades, and they would get scared and take off from it. They didn't know what it was, and now they're like, now we know what it was. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people have things that they like blocked out, and then they're gonna start remembering them. Like when they
Right.
start waking up, they're gonna start remembering them.
I remember when I was really young, like under 4, I had this nighttime friend who would come to me in my house, when my parents would be sleeping. And this nighttime friend looked exactly like ET, which is really weird. But this was before ET even came out. Like this was like 2 or 3 years
Oh,
before that movie came out. I was really young, and I had this like ET guy come in, and he taught me how to like fly around the house, and I would like float around the house, and we'd float around outside. And I just thought it was some imaginary friend until a couple of years ago, and I was like, wait a second, I wonder if that was, I wonder what that was.
yeah.
And then I saw a video
It wasn't so
randomly.
accident.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think it was either. I
yeah.
think it was some friends, some actual friends. So yeah, weird stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
well, I'll let you guys go, and I'll get a hold of you guys in a couple of days when I get this all edited, and you guys can take a look
Cool.
if you
Sounds
want.
good. Thank you so much. It
Okay.
was nice meeting you as well.
Yeah, it was
Thank you
super
for
nice
sharing
meeting
the
you.
pictures. Thank you for sharing
Oh,
the pictures you
absolutely.
had too. They were pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man, I
I
don't.
like Bigfoot. I like some Bigfoot evidence.
I'll tell you, in the past few days, so in the tree line, there's this particular spot that I've seen with these like the tops of the trees would start twinkling, like sparkling, and then an orb would
Uh-huh.
appear and like shoot down into the tree. And I would see these. It was almost like somebody had a flashlight on, and they would just, point it at the sky like this, like pillar of light. And I'm like, am I actually seeing that? And so I started talking to that area of the trees, and then the orb started responding. And then I went on a walk during the day in those woods. I went to that little cluster of trees, and they're like they're building something with sticks in the bottom of the trees. I'll send you a video. It's like they're making a little structure inside the tree. And I was like, holy shit, this is real. Like this isn't like I'm playing around with imaginary
Yeah.
friends. These guys can like do anything. They've come to my house and like eaten apples out of the tree, and they'll take a bite out of an apple and like stick it in between the branches, and just that. Yeah, it's stuff is weird.
Cool.
It's a weird world we live in. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Anyway. All right, guys, I'll let you go and have a blessed rest of your night.